What's going on YouTube, Brad Vapes here, back for another review, and finally we're not going to be reviewing another liquid, even though we've got about 400 liquids left to review. So yeah, this time we're going to be reviewing the Aspire Atlantis V2, and I did get this to review on Mist E-Liquid's channel, which I've already reviewed it on their channel, but on their channel it's not really a review, it's more of a product overview. So on this channel we're going to be having a bit of a more critical look into this product. So rather than talking about it now, we'll go down to the close-ups, we'll show you the device itself, I'll talk about it, show you everything that it does, everything that it has, and everything that it is. And yeah, so we'll do that now, and then we'll come back and we'll vape it and we'll talk about it a bit more. Okay, so this is the box that the Aspire Atlantis V2 comes in. As you can see, it's a nice box, it's just the same as the Aspire Atlantis V1 box, except it's got V2 written there. Well, it's got 2 written there, but I call it the V2. Yeah, so it has a sticker on the bottom and a sticker on the top which you have to remove. You've got a sort of hologram there for authenticity purposes, and you've got a scratch bar which you can check to make sure it is authentic. So if you've got one of these already, make sure to check that, make sure it is authentic. But yeah, so you can just open this up and then you have the device itself. And this is how it comes to you, but sort of, I'd be lying if I said that, because I haven't actually got a head in here at the moment, because I have already been using one, but I'm going to be using a different liquid with this in this video. So I'm going to be using the second head, which this does come with. So do excuse that. But we'll talk about what's in the box first. So if we open up this bottom section here, you're going to see that there is this little bit of cardboard, which tells you that when you're using a new atomizer head, let it stand for 2 minutes with the liquid in, just to make sure the cotton soaks up all of the liquid, just to make sure that you don't get a dry hit. And then in this little foam section here, you have got your second head, which we'll get a close-up of that quickly. You can see the second head's in a little bit of plastic, so let me just turn the brightness of my camera up here. If you take it out of this plastic, you're going to be able to read all the little writing on there, and you're going to see that there it says Aspire. That's how you can tell it's a legitimate Aspire head. Apparently the fake ones out there don't have that written on there, but I couldn't tell you that for sure because I haven't actually got any fake ones before. This is a 0.5 ohm head. You can get a 1 ohm head, a 0.5 ohm head, and a 0.3 ohm head, I think it is. And this is recommended to be vaped around 20 to 30 watts. But obviously we're going to be vaping it at 30 watts because we can do that. Possibly even a little bit more, but we don't know yet. We'll just see what happens. But yeah, so now we'll look at the device itself. Okay, so this is the Aspire Atlantis V2 itself, and as you can see, it does not have a spring-loaded 510 like the other Atlantis, well, the Aspire tanks, which is a bad thing. And it's also quite flush to the 510 connection, so I would not recommend using this on any of your hybrid mods. At the bottom here you have got the adjustable airflow base. You can see on both sides now them holes are wide open, and you have one other option, which is if you screw that on one side you will have quite a small hole, and on one side you will have a slightly larger hole. If you spin it around again, you just go back to the same airflow settings. So you've only got them 2 settings, unfortunately, and there is a bit of water in there from when I last cleaned it. But yeah, you can see you've got the nice logo sort of engraved on there, which is a nice engraving, and it's quite deep, so that's not going anywhere. Also, as airflow is, as far as airflow goes, you have this little disc up here which you can spin, and you can see there. Let me just get another close up here. You got all 4 of these air holes around the drip tip section open, and then you can close them off a bit, or you can close them off completely. But you have not got the option to just have 1 or 2 open, which to me it's not a big deal as I don't use them, but if you are going to use them, that's just something to keep in mind. Also, this drip tip is not 510. I could not tell you what the drip tip size or fitting is, but I can tell you that it's not 510, so you cannot use your regular 510 drip tips in here, but you can use it without a drip tip, but I choose to use it with a drip tip. But yeah, so in here you do have, it's completely stainless steel, and you've got a Pyrex glass tank here. And all of the connections are, well, sorry, all of the seals, the O-ring thing, and the O-ring up in this tank section, they're all nice tight seals. I haven't had a problem with this tank leaking, which leads me to my next point, which is apparently the tank itself has a new anti-leak system. Don't know what that means, don't know how they've done it, but it does not leak. I haven't had a single problem with this leaking yet, but yeah, I've had a couple of tanks go through this, maybe 4 or 5, and I've not had any leaking problems. So we've got the base section here, and obviously there's no head in here, but if you just get your new head, all you have to do to put a new head in here is just screw it down at the base section, and then there you go, you are ready to assemble your tank, fill it up with liquid, and then leave it to sit for 2 minutes and you're ready to vape. but there is an alarm going off. Now we've got the tank section, which is this top section which you have to fill up with e-liquid before vaping. And yeah, as I mentioned, 510, not a 510 drip tip, sorry, adjustable airflow. And this is a Pyrex glass tank, and again, everything is stainless steel. You can take out this glass tank section, which if it breaks, you can replace it just by giving it a kind of a sharp pull and a twist, and you see that comes off. And the glass all on the edge, it is nice and blunt. Some glass tanks on some tanks do have a sharp edge to them, but this one, it looks sharp, but there is a little bit of water in there from cleaning. But yeah, this one, it is nice and smooth all the way around. In this section here, I'm not sure what the sealing is. You have got this weird metal sort of grill section which the tank clips into, and I'm not sure if there is an O-ring in there. It looks like a bit of plastic is in there to keep a seal, but I can't see it myself. And obviously this is the chimney section. This does not come out at all. It doesn't move, doesn't budge. You don't want it to. And you've got these individual juice channels here, which when you screw together, they all fit in with the holes on the coil head. The coil head itself, you can see that is a big coil, but it's not a micro coil or anything. It's quite a loosely wrapped coil. So maybe that could be something they could change. Maybe they could make a more of a micro coil in there, or a macro coil, just to get a bit better vapor production or a warmer vape. You can see there is mesh on top of that coil, and that is to prevent the cotton going anywhere, and apparently that prevents a little bit of spit back. But because of this vertical coil design they've went for, you do get minimal spit back anyways. And as mentioned in the previous part of this video, there are 4 juice flow channels there, and they are pretty big juice holes, so you don't have to worry about your coil going dry. But if you run it at too high a wattage, it will go dry, or if you do end up getting dry hits, you can just leave it sit for a little while, or you could possibly turn down your wattage. Filling up the tank is very easy. All you've got to do is make sure you don't get any juice down the center section here. As you can see, that just goes straight out the drip tip, which you don't want to happen, but you do want to get it between the chimney piece in here, which is this metal section, and the glass, and you just want to fill it up to this lower ridge on the chimney section. And we are going to be filling this up with some of Scope's E-Juice Raspberry. I have not tried this yet, and I have not reviewed it, so I don't know what to expect. But this review for this will be coming out quite soon now that I'm using it. But yeah, so we'll just fill it up on camera here. I do apologise if the angle's a little bit skew-with, but it is quite hard to fill up a tank on camera. But all you got to do is just shove your pipette between them 2 sections, as I mentioned, and then just give it a squeeze. And then once it's up to that line which I previously mentioned, this lower ridge here, you can stop filling it up. And what I personally like to do, a lot of people might not do this, a lot of people might do it, I'm not sure. I'm going to put this to one side, and I'm going to get this this base section. What I like to do is I like to put a bit of e-liquid on all of the connections, well, not all of the connections, sorry, all of the wick holes. I like to just prime it up, just put a bit of e-liquid on there, just sort of gives it a little kick up the bum, gets it doing what it needs to do. And I just do this a few times. Oops, sorry about that being out of focus. It just sort of helps it on its way. And then I also put some juice inside of this top section here, again, just to help it start the wicking process. But that's just me. You might not want to do that, but that is something which I choose to do. Feel free to just ignore me on that one, but you know, it's just everyone has their own way of doing something. But yeah, now you just get this section here, you put it into the chimney, the head slots into the chimney, and then you just begin to screw, and then it will catch the threads, and the threads will just start to make a connection, and then eventually you can just tighten that up, give it a nice snug squeeze, and then there you go. That is your tank all filled up and you're ready to vape. But like the manual here says, be sure to let it sit for 2 minutes, just to allow the e-liquid to properly soak in. But as I've already primed the coil, that time should be at least halved. At least I hope so anyways. You can see them bubbles making their way up as well, so that can always be a good thing. But yeah, so that's the Atlantis V2, and now we'll go back into the face part of this video and we'll give it a vape and see how it vapes. Before I forget, I am going to be vaping this on the Sigeli 150 watts Obviously that's way more power than I'm ever going to need, as this is a 20 to 30 watt 0.5 ohm coil. But this Sigeli is just, it performs nicely, and there will be a review coming out for this soon. So I'm going to turn that right down and put it on around 30 watts. Oh, that keeps jumping right up and down. But yeah, so I'm going to be vaping this at 30 watts, but the liquid here is high VG, so it is a very thick liquid. It's 80 VG and 20 PG, so that could be a little bit of a problem. It might be a little bit too thick for this tank to handle. So if 30 watts starts to burn, then I will turn it down to around 25 or possibly even 20, depending on how well the coil head keeps up with my vaping. But yeah, so this is how the whole thing looks together. I'll try and get a better shot of that quickly. Yeah, so that's how this whole setup looks, and I'm not gonna lie, it does look pretty swanky. It looks pretty good in my opinion. But yeah, so now we'll go back to the face part of the video and we'll see how it vapes. Okay, so that was the close-ups and the filling and taking apart of the Aspire Atlantis V2. And before I forget, on Mist eLiquid's website, this is available for £28.99. I'm really not sure how competitive that price is, but that's just how much they sell it for. That's where I got it from. But yeah, so as I mentioned, this is some of Scope's EG's Raspberry, which I will be reviewing probably after this video, or maybe tomorrow or some other time, just once I've had a bit more time to try it out. But yeah, we're going to be vaping this at 30 watts as it recommends. I'm just going to talk and let it sit for a little while longer just to make sure the juice is nice and primed into the coil, since it is quite a thick juice. But this is a sub-ohm tank. You cannot use this on an Ego battery. You can't use this on just any regular battery. You've got to use it on a battery which can handle sub-ohm resistances. The reason why they've brought out the 1 ohm coil is so that you can use it on a non-sub-ohm battery. So if you've got a 1 ohm coil, you can use it on pretty much every battery out there. But still, even if you do get the 1 ohm coil, make sure that your battery can vape a 1 ohm coil without sort of straining it. But if you are going to use a 0.5 or the 0.3 ohm coils, you want to be a bit careful, because if I quickly go onto an Ohm's law calculator, you're going to see that at 4.2 volts, which is pretty much the standard voltage, at 0.5 ohms, you're going to need a battery with at least 8.4 amps and 8.4 amp limit. And with a 0.3 ohm coil, you're going to need a battery with a 14 amp limit. And if you don't know about that, then oh, that's the wrong logo. If you don't know about amp limits and all that, if you don't know about Ohm's law, then before you get this, I recommend reading up on it a little bit more, just to make sure that you're vaping safe, because we don't want anything to happen to you, and we don't want anything to happen to vaping. Because if one more bad thing happens about vaping, that's just going to be, that's the nail in the coffin. So just be a bit more careful. But yeah, so I'm going to have the airflow wide open, but the drip tip airflow closed. I probably will close off this bottom airflow a little bit more, but we'll try it wide open first. So, yeah, that's working. Fire it nice and quickly. We'll give it a vape and we'll see how it performs. And it is performing quite nicely. This is a 6 milligram e-liquid, high VG, so as expected it is as smooth as a baby's bum. There's pretty much no throat hit. But I did try Mother's Milk by Suicide Bunyan here, which is a 60 VG if I'm not mistaken, at 6 milligrams, and that was a little bit harsher. It took a bit more time to, once the coil was broken in, it was a lot smoother, but initially it was quite harsh. But right now this is really nice and smooth, and the airflow wide open. It's just like vaping it in a dripper with the airflow. It just feels like dripper airflow. And you can see it's producing plenty of vapor, but the vapor itself, it is a bit wispy. It's not the densest clouds that I've seen, but the flavour itself, the flavour is up there, because the coil, it's a vertical coil, and the coil head itself, it's quite a compact coil head, so the coil's in quite a small space, and it's sort of like having a sort of a Derringer or a Deringer styled deck, because the Derringer or the Deringer, whatever you want to call it, it's a really small deck, it's a small chamber, so because of that you get better flavour, and that's sort of similar to what I'm getting from this, but the flavour in the Derringer or the Deringer, whatever you want to call it, is obviously better, because you've got dual coils. You can build it how you like for a warmer or a cooler vape, and obviously just drippers, in my opinion, will always outperform tanks, but for a tank it is performing quite well. And now I've got the airflow closed off a little bit more. I've got it on the smallest airflow setting at the bottom, with the drip tip airflow completely closed off. And there, the cloud it got a much denser. The cloud got a much denser. But yeah, it did get a lot denser with the airflow closed off. But still, it is a very cool vape. It feels wispy. It didn't look so wispy that time, but it felt wispy to me, because I'm used to kind of beastie builds. I'm used to like really thick, warm, ridiculous builds at the moment. But even so, it is performing close to a dripper. Obviously it is sub-ohm, so it is going to perform close to a dripper, but it does not outperform a dripper. But if you're going out for the day and you want to, you know, chuck some clouds, but you can't be bothered to take out a bottle and drip every couple of drags, then this is going to be the thing for you. And if that is the reason why you're buying it, then I would totally recommend it. But if you're getting it to replace drippers or something like that, or to sort of, you know, use instead of a dripper, or I don't know, something like that, if you're using it just regularly for in the house, or I don't know, I think drippers are better. I think the Derringer in particular is better, but it's still, for a tank, it's pretty damn good. The airflow is pretty good, but then if I open it all the way up on the bottom and on the drip tip, you're going to see it does get very wispy, and I'll quickly show you this now. Well, it all looks the same on the camera, but I can assure you it is a lot wispier, which is why I'd like to close it off a lot more, because it's more restricted, you get better flavour, denser clouds, and it just performs better that way, in my opinion. But I am sort of chain vaping this right now, and it's not going dry, but I'm going to try cranking it up to 4.2 volts, which is 32 watts. I'm going to try 32 watts and see how it performs, and see if it burns or see if it performs better. That did sort of get a little bit too dry for my liking. Maybe it is to do with the chain vaping, but I don't think it can handle any more than 30 watts. But if you're into a warm vape, it's not for you. If you're into a cool vape, it's for you. If you're too lazy to drip, or you want to drip out and about but you can't be bothered to drip, then it is for you. But yeah, if you want to try it out, go and check it out at the website that I've linked down below, which is Mr. E-Liquid's website. I'll link to the product down below. But that's all I've got to say. Finally, we've reviewed a product and not an E-Liquid, but this is around the time where I'm at my 500 subscriber mark. I'm at 499 subscribers at this moment in time. You know what? I'll quickly check. YouTube brand vapes. Oh, Jesus. Oh, 499. See, I'm still at 499. So, we can't do the giveaway yet because I'm waiting until it hits 500. But we're going to be giving away some stuff. So if you're interested in that, do stick around. Subscribe if you haven't already if you want to get involved in that giveaway, because the giveaway will require you to subscribe. So you might as well get a head start. But yeah, thank you for watching. Don't forget to leave a like if you like the video. Comment if you've got any questions or anything to add. And yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.